How to think in English. Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to explore a powerful skill that can transform the way you speak English, thinking in English. Many English learners struggle with fluency because they translate every word from their native language before speaking. This slows down their response time and makes conversations feel unnatural. But what if you could train your mind to think directly in English? Imagine being able to form sentences quickly, express your thoughts smoothly, and speak with confidence without constantly translating. In today's lesson, we'll discuss how you can develop this skill step by step, along with a short story that will inspire you to start thinking in English today. Why is thinking in English important? Thinking in English is the key to fluency. When you rely on translation, your brain has to perform extra work, first understanding the idea in your native language, then converting it into English, and finally saying it out loud. This delay can make conversations difficult and frustrating. However, when you train your brain to think in English, words and sentences come to you naturally, just like they do in your first language. This makes speaking faster, clearer, and more confident. Now let's look at how you can train your brain to think in English. Step 1. Start with simple words and phrases. Thinking in English doesn't mean you have to form complex sentences immediately. Start with simple words and phrases that you use every day. Look around you and name objects in English. If you see a chair, think chair. If you see a book, think book. Train your mind to recognize common things in English without translating them. For example, if you are drinking tea, instead of thinking I am drinking tea in your native language and then translating it, try to hear the words I am drinking tea directly in English in your mind. This is a small but powerful step toward fluency. Step 2. Describe what you see and do. One of the best ways to think in English is to describe your surroundings and daily actions. As you go about your day, try to narrate what you are doing in English. For example, when you wake up, think, I am getting out of bed. When you are eating breakfast, think, I am having toast and coffee. When you walk outside, think, the sky is blue today. The weather is nice. By doing this daily, you will slowly train your brain to form thoughts in English naturally. Step 3. Use mental conversations. Have you ever talked to yourself in your native language? Now, try doing it in English. Imagine different situations and practice conversations in your mind. For example, if you are going to a coffee shop, imagine yourself ordering in English. Good morning. I'd like a cup of coffee, please. Then imagine the barista asking, would you like sugar or milk? And respond, just milk, thank you. Practicing these mental conversations will help you feel more confident when speaking in real-life situations. Step 4. Picture words. Instead of translating, one of the biggest reasons learners struggle with thinking in English is that they rely too much on translation. Instead, try to associate English words with images or feelings rather than their translation. For example, when you hear the word apple, don't think of the word in your native language. Instead, visualize a red, juicy apple in your mind. When you hear happy, imagine a big smile or a joyful memory instead of translating the word. By linking words to images and emotions, you will start thinking directly in English. A short story. Maria's transformation. Maria, a 24-year-old student from Brazil, always struggled with speaking English fluently. She had studied English for years, but every time she tried to speak, she had to translate her thoughts from Portuguese to English. This made her sentences slow and unnatural, and she often hesitated during conversations. One day, her English teacher gave her a challenge. "For the next 2 weeks, I want you to stop thinking in Portuguese. Train yourself to think only in English." At first, Maria found it difficult. She kept catching herself translating words in her mind. But she didn't give up. She started by naming objects in English, then describing her daily routine, and finally, having small, imaginary conversations with herself. 2 weeks later, something incredible happened. Maria noticed that she was responding faster in conversations. She didn't have to stop and translate every word. Her sentences started flowing more naturally, and she felt more confident than ever before. By training her brain to think in English, she had unlocked a new level of fluency. Today, Maria speaks English fluently and even works in an international company where she uses English every day. She proved that anyone can learn to think in English with consistent practice and patience. Step 5. Read and listen in English every day. To think in English, you need to surround yourself with the language as much as possible. The more you read and listen in English, the easier it becomes to think in English. Here's what you can do. Checkmark. Read books, news articles, or blogs in English. Listen to English podcasts, audiobooks, and YouTube videos. Watch English movies or TV shows with subtitles, then try watching without subtitles. The more you expose your brain to English, the faster it will adapt to thinking in English. Step 6. Speak without fear of mistakes. Many learners avoid speaking because they are afraid of making mistakes. But mistakes are a natural part of learning. When children learn their first language, they make countless mistakes, but they keep practicing until they get it right. The same applies to you. Even if your sentences aren't perfect, keep speaking. The more you practice, the better you will become. Thinking in English is the foundation of true fluency. The more you train your brain to process thoughts directly in English, the easier and faster you will speak. It's not about knowing every word or having perfect grammar. It's about building the habit of thinking in English naturally. By starting small with simple words, practicing mental conversations, and surrounding yourself with English, you will develop this powerful skill. The key is consistency. Every moment you spend thinking in English brings you one step closer to fluency.